So I'd be like, since I'm holding this, this is my show now.
Really?
Yeah. It's like in Lord of the Flies with the conch shell.
Uh-huh.
Here.
Yeah.
Now it's your show.
Exactly. Hey everyone, I'm Claire. Today we're in the BA Test Kitchen and we are making gourmet Pringles. I did used to eat Pringles. This was more of like an afternoon snack in school. I love the packaging. These kind of like brilliant canisters. What do they say? Once you pop, you can't stop. Is that the catchphrase? I'm gonna get a whole one out and show it to you. Ooh, sorry. It exists in like many dimensions. It has this sort of curved structure. It's fairly pale and uniform in color. It's not like a potato chip that has maybe like darker edges or something. And it has lots of little tiny bubbles all across the surface. That's what's gonna make it seem really, really crunchy when you bite down on it. Very delicate, very, very thin. If they don't put up a lot of resistance, it really does like kind of dissolve into nothing. The first thing that I get when I taste it is salt. And I mostly sort of taste like oil, like it's sort of like fried flavor in a good way. The flavoring is definitely some kind of a coating. This was the flavor that I probably ate most, sour cream and onion. Delicious. So good. You can find powdered sour cream, you can find powdered buttermilk, you can find powdered white distilled vinegar. Once you have the wafer, riffing on the flavors is actually pretty easy because it's just about getting those powders. That's like what's brilliant about snack foods is it's like you make one thing and then there's sort of like endless variations you can do. Oh, I have to try pizza. They do like make me very happy. They're very good. I got it. Because it's curved in two directions, I want to flatten it. That worked. So it is an oval. It's like 6.8 centimeters and 5.4 centimeters wide. So I'm sort of making a template. All right, so there's my template. So these two sides come downward, and then these two come the other way. I want to try hydrating the chip to see what the texture is of the paste or the batter, or like whatever it is that these are made out of. It does have sort of like a tortilla-like consistency. I'm trying to think how we can create this shape. When you make tuiles or those like very lacy crisp cookies, you drape them over the rolling pin. It's actually a really closely fits the contours of this rolling pin. But then of course these two sides come up. So maybe there's something that we can place underneath and raise the opposite ends. So here are the ingredients. Dried potatoes, vegetable oil, parentheses corn, cottonseed, hyoleic, soybean, or sunflower oil, germinated yellow corn flour, cornstarch, rice maltodextrin, salt, wheat starch, and that's it. Rice flour makes sense because rice flour is like, if you've ever had tempura, rice flour is the starch in tempura batter, and it creates this like very, very light, crispy crunch when you fry it. Within the actual wafer itself, though, we know that it's not that many ingredients. The main one is dried potatoes. So I think this is going to be much more about nailing that shape, just to get something that looks like it, because at the end of the day, you have crunchy fried potato, like it's going to be delicious. So this is going to be a project that's more about kind of process and construction than flavor, I think. Let's just see what happens when I Google Pringles. Gene Wolfe, a mechanical engineer author known for science fiction and fantasy novels, developed the machine that cooks them. Oh great, they were designed by a chemist. That doesn't bode well. Ooh, the consistent saddle shape is mathematically known as the hyperbolic paraboloid. I love how it's made. How it's made is the best thing that's ever happened to this show.
They use a ratio of 1/3 water to 2/3 potato flakes. A conveyor delivers the mix to an auger, which disperses it.
So it's like sort of like a meal. It did kind of look like maybe it was more of a dough than any kind of like a paste or batter that was like pressed into the shape. So it actually might be easier to form them. Maybe I can make some kind of a cutter to punch out that shape rather than like cut it out. We might have oval cutters in this kitchen. Oh look, there's the Gushers molds. I'm so glad we still have those. We have rectangles, diamonds, fluted rounds. Nothing. Oh wait, oh my god. Oh my god. This is so close, I'm just gonna use this. I want to have my colleagues try the Pringles and give me their thoughts and possibly if they have some clues or something like that.
It's not like they're taking a potato and slicing it thin and...
Right. It's like composite of
Yeah,
like dried potato and all these other starches.
It's not a potato chip, it's a potato
Crisp. Yeah.
They're like a Franken chip.
Okay, so rather than just like make a crispy potato crisp,
Yeah.
how do we make it a Pringle?
It has to be stackable.
I think what's so compelling about this is just the fact that it melts in your mouth.
Yeah, it turns into nothing.
They go from crispy to dissolve like that.
Right.
There's something about the way the shape and the shape of your tongue, and you're just like
And it
literally
dissolves.
pushing it against the roof of your mouth and it crumbles.
So you
like-
can literally just close your mouth.
The crunch,
and
yeah,
it'll
and
be
they'll
like-
dissolve. Ugh.
More like whatever the sound is.
That kind of curve.
It's a it's, what is it? It's a hyperbolic, parabolic, whatever. I don't remember what it was.
Paraboloid, you know?
Yeah.
Claire and I did math.
Yeah. What I'm thinking of doing is starting with a mixture of cooked potato bound with some additional starches, and then some combination of drying and frying once I have them formed into those kind of like ovals. I'm very curious to see like how close we get just from that basic approach. I'm going to start with one potato because I think I'm going to have to add a lot of other starch ingredients. I need the big one with the smallest holes, working it really, really lightly because I want something that's going to be more tender rather than chewy. To make a stiff, dry dough, I'm going to add cornstarch, rice flour, and a little salt. So the problem so far is that I can see that there's still like noticeable separation between the potato bits and the starch. But I'm just gonna go ahead and continue to work with this as a test. Because I know that I need an extremely paper thin dough, I'm gonna use the pasta extruder to roll it out. Doesn't really want to roll through. I'm gonna try cutting out a couple ovals. As soon as I put it in the oil, it didn't hold its shape. It's already taking on color. It's getting golden around the edges and across some of the surface. So already I know that that's not what I want. It doesn't have that dissolving texture. Could be more tender. And I know that I'll get tenderness mostly from having all those little air bubbles in it. I want to see what happens if I add a little bit of baking powder to make those little bubbles. And also once I have it into a sheet, but then I want to get it even thinner, I'm probably better off using something that's not absorbent. This is a Silpat. These are these like silicone baking mats. I'm gonna do the same thing, just roll between these. So it's not taking on color as fast, which is good, but it does have those little tiny bubbles. Getting these also sort of like larger bubbles, that's something I want to avoid because that's going to affect my ability to stack them. The color is not that different, right?
It genuinely looked like you broke that one chip in half.
In half, really? Are we done?
Did we already done?
Yeah. Done. Okay. Hold on, I need Chris to... It's not as tender. There's not as many air bubbles.
Not quite as tender. I mean, it's very
pretty close.
good. It's very close.
Yeah.
It's kind of like shattering in your mouth the way a standard potato chip
Yeah.
would, a little bit more so than
Sorry.
a Pringle.
Not that you were in the
know?
middle of anything.
No, it's cool.
That second test felt like weirdly close as to like be a fluke, but I just like keep going until otherwise deterred. I want to try forming them to see if I can get at least some kind of shape. Maybe I won't go for the, what do they call it?
Paraboloid.
But at least something curved. I want to basically try frying it very, very briefly at a low temp, letting it set and form over this rolling pin, and then frying it again. It's losing its shape immediately. At least in terms of like shaping them, there wasn't much to be gained from forming it around the rolling pin, or at least at this point. I'm just thinking. Thought of something. I thought of, in terms of like a mold for frying, maybe holding it very gently between these two spoons, at least keep its flat shape. It's really like not as crispy. I think having it between those spoons meant there was some moisture loss. So I think I'm gonna try it again. Maybe fry it, take it out while it's still pliable, put it between the spoons, and then put it back in the oil. Obviously, this took on color kind of according to the pattern of like the slots in the spoon. It did crisp up much more though, which is good. It doesn't quite have that quality of like you can eat it without chewing. You have to kind of bite down on it. Yeah, so for tenderness, like more acid, I don't know, more leavening. I put a little bit of baking powder in it. Maybe try more. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of chew.
Yeah, too much chew. I don't know, I mean, no, it's like chewy. You're not right. All right, I think we're at a good place to stop today. Before I continue too far down using whole potato, I think I want to start with test tomorrow using the potato flour that we have and just seeing where that gets me. And then, of course, I think the challenge will be forming them and getting that shape. So we'll see. Yeah, so here we are. It's only day 2. And they all blur together. We're here bright and early on day 2, so not too many people in the test kitchen yet, but we're gonna get started. I wanna try using just potato flour. It seems like from the research that this is more of the product that like Pringles are actually made from in the factory. So just wanna see what happens when I mix this with the other starches and add water and kind of create a dough that way. This is just like an extreme, I've never like had dough this texture. It's just like so gnarly and not smooth. It is flattening out nicely. Ooh, lots of curling. Oh, it really, you guys see how much it expanded? It got huge. It has almost a texture of like, you know, like a shrimp chip or something like that. Just so, so bubbly. Definitely much more tender than the versions we tried yesterday. Actually really good. One thing I want to try is to dock the dough. So I just want to basically poke little holes all over the place. And this will allow big pockets of air to escape and will prevent those big bubbles. Hopefully. I think that will. I think it worked moderately well. It's still got some bubbling around the edges. But I also want to try rolling one out thinner. Let me put it back between the silpat and roll it through. That's definitely thinner. Let's see what that did. Wait, I just tasted the Pringle. I was like, wow, I did a really good job. So, but I did do a good job. Actually, really, really encouraging test. I kind of guessed at that hydration and it actually was pretty successful, so I'm gonna keep going with that. And I also am going to hold it between the 2 spoons to see if that can help eliminate some of those big air pockets. The 2 spoons have definitely compressed it, but I think that's a good thing because it's almost like I was getting too much air in the chip. And actually what I'm getting a little bit is the texture of the silpat from rolling it out. It's kind of amazing. It like almost completely dissolves. I feel like it's like very Pringle-y.
Very, very Pringly.
I actually feel like, here, do you want to
Texture is very good.
Do you want to compare it to the original? Or so at least I feel like this is the closest I've come to the right thickness.
Really close, Claire.
Like weirdly close.
Weirdly close. How do you feel about having ridges instead of tiny little
Well,
bubbles?
I think I'll be able to get rid of the ridges because the ridges is literally this. It's like the texture of the.
So crazy.
So I'm just gonna put parchment in between and roll it out. I have to focus on shape now. I was doing a little reading online. Apparently the shape is actually important to the way that the Pringle itself functions. It's not just visual. It helps create like a very strong chip so that when you stack it, that bottom chip doesn't break under the weight of the ones on top of it. I don't really know the math of it. So I think I need to make a mold, and it has to be a mold that I'm able to put into the fryer, so I have to make it from metal or something that's heat safe. This is flexible, and maybe I can create something out of this. We're just gonna play around for a little bit. I don't even know how to get into this. It is taking on that shape a little bit, just as I work it. Now I'm going to try to use foil to mold just like the mate to it. Because as long as there's mesh on one side and there's room for that liquid to escape, I think it'll work. Although the foil, it's really not flexible. Actually, new thought. So I can use strips like this to just like clip the mesh. Because as long as there's mesh on one side and there's room for that liquid to escape, I think it'll work. For the first shot, some success. It does have that shape. The problem with it is that it doesn't have a uniform texture. You can see where the foil strip was holding it against the mesh, and then in the other places next to it, it kind of like puckered up and bubbled a little bit. I think you need something full contact. All right, so here we go. It maybe took on a little bit more color than is ideal. I think the chip itself looks really good though. The main thing is not that it has to look identical to the original, but it has to look identical to all the other homemade versions so that we can stack them. But you know what? It doesn't have any huge air bubbles, no big pockets. It actually looks really uniform. What I want to do is really get a bunch of cutouts, and I can just fry them all kind of rapid fire, and hopefully get like double digits. So I'm just gonna like put my head down and get going on that. Shockingly close to a Pringle. Yeah, like we're there, I think. It just is a pain in the ass to make. And
figure out the hyperparabolic.
Oh, I sure did. I made it out of mesh from a strainer. And then this goes on top.
What's the budget like for this series for you destroying different things in the kitchen? You know, in James Bond, Q has all the technology.
Yes.
You need a Q.
It's kind of Brad, but first of all, he's not here, and second of all, it's usually not that helpful. Yeah, those are mine.
Oh my God, Claire! Wow.
I know, right?
I'm so excited.
8, 10, 12, okay, 14 finished. And, you know, some of them I think look better than others. Like this one looks great as compared to the original. Now I want to play around with making a couple of different flavors. So we have distilled white vinegar powder, yellow cheddar cheese powder, and sour cream powder. So I have some flavors for you guys to try.
Battery.
Yeah.
The flavor is so freaking good.
Wow, this is like...
I can smell the cheddar powder.
All right, this is the thing. Molly went for like a half bite.
Yeah.
You're going
My
for the
instinct
whole?
is like...
Do it.
Guy. Whoa.
The shape is on point.
Shape is 100% on point. This is my question, though.
Mm-hmm.
If we were to construct a tube, would you replace the little guy with your face?
Definitely.
Right?
A little
Definitely.
caricature of
A little character
Claire
of
Saffitz.
yeah.
Cheers. Cheers. Shape there. Shape there. Flavor there.
I think it's a little bit thicker, but I really couldn't roll it any thinner. Like I was rolling it in the pasta roller on the thinnest setting between two sheets of stuff. Like also in the factory, they're rolled under 4 tons of pressure, so I wasn't quite able to get them that thin.
We stand these ones.
Thanks, you guys.
Oh my god.
Okay, do you want?
You are completely crazy.
Yeah. Well, they make me. It's like overall just a little
Help
sturdy.
myself to a little bit of this cheese powder. It's a Pringle.
It's a Pringle. Overall, like not, I think among the like more difficult things to construct. It wasn't so much like a lengthy process in terms of time, but it is kind of labor intensive to just like hand punch and fry individually. You could go like crazy on the flavors with all the different kinds of powders and everything, but yeah. How do we wrap these episodes up? What do you want to say? I don't know. It's like thanks for watching. What do we say? Okay, here's how you make gourmet Pringles. Combine 50 grams potato flour, 10 grams cornstarch, 10 grams white rice flour, and half teaspoon kosher salt. Add 35 grams water and knead into a shaggy dough. Cover tightly in plastic and let rest 15 minutes. Knead again to incorporate dry bits, then pass dough through the widest setting of a pasta roller a dozen times, folding each time until dough is fully hydrated. Cut dough in half, then pass each half through roller 2 times on each setting until you've reached the thinnest possible sheet of dough, cutting each piece in half again as it gets too long to handle. Working one piece at a time and keeping the other pieces of dough covered, pass dough through roller again on the thinnest possible setting between 2 cut pieces of silpat lined with parchment, brushing lightly with cornstarch to prevent sticking so that dough is almost see-through. Punch out ovals using a cutter and repeat process with remaining pieces of dough. Fry ovals one at a time, blanching first in 300-degree vegetable oil for 5 seconds to puff, then placing in a wire mesh and aluminum foil cage shaped in a hyperbolic paraboloid. Fry again for 60 seconds until crisp and lightly golden, then remove from cage, pat with paper towels, and lightly season with more salt. Repeat with all ovals of dough. Season chips with flavored powders of your choice. That's a record.
You nailed it. Yeah,
In other words.
You did it.
Okay.
You crushed it. These are amazing Pringles. Claire, you are really good at making snack foods.
Thank you.
You should get your own show.